Hey friends, my name is Alia and welcome to episode 2 of How Does It Feel, the series where we hear the stories of incredible people doing incredible things in order to find out how they got to this point and what keeps them going. Today we are joined by Fatema. Fatema is a qualified psychotherapist who does a lot of community work and also has recently started a network for entrepreneurs in order to help them on their journey. I'm so excited about this episode because Fatema comes from a psychological perspective, and it means that she has the experience to talk about the thought process that happens when you're on your journey to find your purpose, and it means that she can give a different insight to people, especially those who are feeling a little bit lost or a little bit demotivated. So I'm so excited for you guys to see this, so sit back, enjoy, and I'll let Fatema take over. Okay.
Oh, sorry, hello.
How really
is it recording?
Yes.
Okay.
It's perfect. Come.
At the moment, I'm enjoying Ramadan, so I'm really kind of getting involved in a lot of social activities that are really nice because there's a lot of like entrepreneurial projects going on, which is really nice, and it's nice to like go to these things and like support them. And see what kinds of ideas like people are coming up with to like serve the community and like bring new ideas and things to the community. For example, this evening, inshallah, I'm going to go to the iftar for Green Deen. And I feel that they really show how to connect yourself back to nature through spirituality. So I think that that's such a part of Islam that I haven't really explored yet. So I think it's really nice that people are bringing up all of these like really cute projects out of nowhere. And like obviously it's related to their own passion. So yeah, I'm just excited to like explore. Really.
And do you think it's important to do things for the community?
Yeah, definitely. I think that the whole point of us like thriving is to do with community. It's to do with like how can we collectively come together to support each other, and how can we like continue to bring value to each other through education, through like sharing experiences, through sharing interests. You know, sometimes we have blind spots and we don't think that we would like something. But then when we're encouraged by friends or by communities to like try something, we're like really pleasantly surprised. So I think it's really important to be like a community member. But equally, you have to think about your own like energy reserves and think about your own kind of like well-being in a sense where, you know, you're also looking after yourself and giving yourself like independent time as well. Yeah. I think there has to be a balance, hasn't there, between like community and also like doing things for yourself as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so tell me a little bit about what you are doing to bring value to the community.
So a couple of different things, I think. So the first thing is, so a few years ago, I set up my own coaching business because I noticed that in my psychology community, there was a lack of education and information around careers and building and understanding how to really go about building a career as a psychological practitioner. So I built something in that sense from, I would say, like 2019, but I was actually doing that very informally since like 2016. And then I recognized that there's more of a demand for it and an actual need for it. So then I set something up that was a bit more established. And then alhamdulillah, like we moved into like one-to-one sessions with people and masterclasses. And then we moved into doing like a membership and setting that up to serve the community. And now there's like a little mini team that basically help to put resources in there and just manage it for the people that are in the membership. And then I think from there, like I noticed that there was a need for people to find a little bit more freedom in their lives in terms of not being stuck to a 9-to-5. I think social media really like shared the ability to take your work wherever you go. And I think that really opened up a lot of opportunities for people. But I think, you know, when you see things on the internet, a lot of people are like, ooh, how do I do that? How do I start something like this? And like understanding how to monetize skills or build something that's completely new. I think it was important to share how that can be done. So I kind of like moved into business coaching and supporting like a lot of people from my psychology community, but then also moved into helping entrepreneurs do that as well. and just like monetize something that they found really interesting and were passionate about. And then after that, myself and my co-founder Layla, we set up Pure Intentions. And Pure Intentions is a matchmaking service for Muslims who are confident, assured, and are really kind of ready to get married. You know, when you think of the apps and you think of like the aunties that look for partners for you, all of that has been great, but we're not sure if it's been updated to the modern times. And especially now with people becoming more aware of things like mental health and self-awareness, and like the expectations are rising naturally because people are becoming more aware of these things and what they can receive from partners or what they can get from a relationship. We just want to kind of educate people and help them kind of understand, how to approach the whole topic of marriage by doing the work on themselves first. So yeah, there's lots of different things that are going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how is that going for you, the journey of doing all of these different things?
So it's hectic, I won't lie. There is definitely the capitalist hustle culture that gets in the way of your creativity and your ability to just like take some time out, so then you can really think about what you want to then put out into the community that's useful and helpful and resourceful. But with the capitalist society that we live in, we very much have to think about income and expenditure and how we're going to sustain ourselves financially. So I think sometimes that can get in the way of wanting to stay within your creativity mode. But at the same time, you think about it from an Islamic rizq point of view, that if you put your tawakkul in Allah and you kind of look at it from a point of, well, I'm trying my best, I'm doing it with clear intentions, and so inshallah, like if I'm doing that, Allah will see that and the money will come in, the people will come in. But at the same time, you have to tie your camel. And so I think a lot of our efforts are very much around tying our camels and doing the things that we need to so that we're ethically serving our community, being very boundaried, being very ethical and conscious of how we're doing things. So there's a lot of responsibility. And I think with responsibility, you have to act every single day and make sure that you're, staying on track with things, I guess. And so, yeah, so it can be hectic and a bit busy, but otherwise, alhamdulillah, grateful that I have the opportunity to do these things and work for myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you touched on the pressure to monetize from whatever you do.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is to balance a purpose, especially when it's serving people, versus trying to earn your money, and especially when you're trying to decide about how much money you want to earn and how much you want to profit from whatever your passion is?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. And I think over time, I've definitely struggled with this because it felt like a constant conflict in trying to make the income that I needed to sustain myself very much at the start. But then at the same time, bring value and not just put things out for the sake of putting things out there. So I think it took a lot of trial and error to figure out how to marry those things together. And I think the things that helped me to really do that was really listening to my community and essentially giving them what they wanted. So I think a lot of people build products and services that are very much what they feel the public need and what society need. But they're not doing their market research, they're not really talking to their community, they're not really taking interest in what real people have to say. So I think the more time that you spend inside of your community, the more that you can actually spend time building things that fulfill a need. And you can seek out more opportunities that are more ethical and feel more aligned to values, as opposed to, this is very clickbaity, this is likely to get a lot of people's attention, so I'm going to create this and monetize it. And whatever the outcome. If they get the results, they get the results. If they don't worry about it. That's not the way to think about things, because at the end of the day, you're going to be doing more long-term damage to your community than helping. And in the end, it's you that's going to pay for it, right? So it's
more important, you think, to serve the purpose, and then the money will come after?
I think so, yeah. I think when you're so focused on just money, you kind of just become caught up in this rat race where it's say if it's a workshop, you're doing one workshop and the money comes in and then you're depleted. And then you're like, okay, I need to make that money again, another workshop. And I think I can be fully transparent and honest and say that there was a time when I felt like that because I felt like I had to do that. Because I think even when you're getting help, sometimes it's really important, well, it's always important to get the right type of help.
Yeah,
Okay.
by all means.
Do you want me to say it now?
Yeah.
So I think that when you're starting anything and when you're building anything and when you're putting yourself out there, there's a lot that can get sort of in the way as barriers, stopping you from putting yourself out there into your community. And I think a lot of it comes from self-doubt, imposter syndrome, worries about what other people might think, worries about whether you're good enough, worries about whether it's actually going to come into fruition the way that you want it to. And you're kind of like thinking about all of these things, but one thing that you have to realize is that the things that you're thinking about are mostly hypothetical. They're hypothetical things that haven't even happened yet, and they're hypothetical things that you don't actually know are true because you're making assumptions, right? So I think it's really sad in the sense where, and it's normal as well as being sad, where our assumptions and those feelings can really get in the way of us like actually putting our potential out there. And so I think it's really important to really sometimes check in with yourself and think about like, where are these thoughts and beliefs actually coming from? Because definitely when I was starting, I was very conscious of like what other people might think and how I would be received. And then I think there was also a point where when I had started a membership, 2 other people had also jumped on the bandwagon and started their own in the same community very soon after me. And so I kind of like felt very worried about like me losing out because of the fact that there's competition now and other people are following. But I think what's really important is you stick to your purpose. You stick to like your unique selling point is yourself. The way that you choose to do it, nobody else can replicate that. Even if they try to, they're not going to be able to. And I think you have to stay true to like why you're doing it in the first place. Because if it's just about getting above the competition, then that takes you away from your values. That's going to take you away from the true essence of why you're serving your community, right? So I think you have to think long and hard, and you have to give yourself time to really think about why you're doing what you're doing. And make sure you're aware that your thoughts and your feelings are not always as they seem. So people sometimes think that when you're doing something that you absolutely love, you're going to feel happy and elated and joyful all the time. And that's not true. You don't feel like that all the time. Sometimes you get really frustrated, really angry, really sad. You feel all the emotions. And I think as a psychotherapist, I can say that it's really important to hold space for every single emotion that you feel in the journey, but you need to have an anchor. And if you have an anchor and you're fully aware of why you're doing what you're doing and your purpose, and that's your anchor, then no matter what kinds of emotions and feelings come up, you give yourself space and time to feel that. But then at the end of the day, you will go back to the reasons why you're doing what you're doing. You'll be able to pull yourself back out. Your anchor will make you go back to your foundations and the reasons why you're doing what you're doing. So I think that's really important.
Yeah. So if you had to say, what is your one anchor through everything that you do?
Oh, that's really good. So I think I have multiple anchors now. I think at the start, when I first started, my anchor was, I just want to make a difference to my community because I know that my community are... I'm just a bit conscious because I know that my community they needed this because I went through the same struggles like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I was like, if they're going through the struggles 10 years ago, then they're going to benefit from something like this. So that was the first anchor. And then I think the second anchor was like, when I was in the NHS, I was working a 9-to-5, and I was just kind of feeling like I was again on this treadmill, and I wasn't really making a difference because of the fact that I was exhausted as an NHS practitioner. So I was like, well, this can't be it. This can't be everything. So I think I just had this like innate motivation to make something of my life and to be able to say that I've done this. Mm. And so like even that self-motivation, some people might call it ego. Some people might think it's a negative to do things for yourself. I think it's perfectly fine. If it's not detrimental to others and it's not hurting others and you're helping other people through also being self-motivated and thinking about yourself, why not? Mm. So I think that was another anchor. And then I think the third anchor was like being the first entrepreneur in my family. So that was a big deal, because when you think about like generational traumas and you think about generational patterns that you want to break out of, you think about how you can do that not just for you but for your family and your lineage coming up. And some people might think, well, you know, you don't have children or you're not in a relationship to be thinking about all of these things now, but you have to think like sometimes it's not even about your own children, it's about your sister's children, or it's about other nephews and nieces that you have, and how you can pass on certain skills to them and certain ideas to them. And if they possess those skills, they can make massive differences and massive changes to their communities in the future, even when you're gone. You know, you get people that talk about like their grandparents motivating them, and their grandparents probably never know that. Maybe they're not even here anymore. But the fact that people talk about their elders and the people that motivated them in that way, I think it would be really nice if somebody said, oh yeah, I think Fatema motivated me. That'd be quite
and
nice.
even outside of your family, you don't know whose lives you've touched.
You have no idea. And I think this is the beauty of social media, is that every so often I'll get like a message or a DM like just popping up and saying like, oh, I've been following you for this many years, and I'm so pleased to see like all of these things. And it's just so nice to hear that actually like people are watching and observing. And it's always said from a negative point that, oh, people are watching, you know, always looking at you, waiting for you to fail. But actually, no, people are really out there vouching for you, waiting for you to succeed, waiting to see you do the next amazing thing. And I think you have to just focus your energy and attention on that. And that can be another anchor as well. And I think a final anchor that I would say is really important is like a spiritual anchor. Like I think when you think about it Islamically, like you think about why we're put on this earth. And people will be like, well, this is so superficial, you know, building businesses and doing things that are like digital and all of this, like, they might not think it's as profound as doing something that's like, I don't know, very, very connected to the Muslim community. But at the end of the day, representation matters. If I'm obviously showing up as a Muslim woman that's doing X, Y, and Z in the way that I am, not a hijabi, and so maybe I don't look like a Muslim, but at the same time, if I'm actively speaking about my spirituality through what I'm doing, it's going to help people, inshallah, have a good perception of my religion and faith, but also encourage other people to think that they don't have to be perfect Muslims to do good in the world. They don't have to do things necessarily through the stereotypical means of helping people. They can build projects and entrepreneurial businesses and things like that and help the community through that. And it's about understanding that Islam can be super creative. It's about your intention, isn't it? And what's in your heart. And however you put that out there, I think if you do it with the right intentions, I think Allah's going to recognize that. So yeah.
It's good that you have multiple anchors.
Yeah.
Do you ever have days when it feels really bleak and you're kind of like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. What gets you through it?
What gets me through it? I think it's paying attention to the anchors, but I think, you know, sometimes you feel superficially like, what's the point? I can't be bothered today. All of this. And I think that sometimes you have to find just routine, monotonous ways to get yourself back into it. So like, for example, you know, you can feel depressed, or you can feel like things aren't working, or you can feel like things aren't coming to fruition as quickly as you would want them to. And I think sometimes just having a routine and doing things that are everyday, average, basic things that you have to do for your business, those little steps are what's going to help the bigger things come to fruition. And it's almost like sometimes like when you work in a 9 to 5 and you don't feel like going to work, but you're like, I just have to go to work and get the day done and then go home. Sometimes you have to think of your business like that as well. Obviously, it's more important to you. There's a lot more emotions and thought invested, but sometimes you just have to show up and think of it in that way. And I think also, like, I hugely believe in accountability partners. Like, if you're not a naturally self-motivated person, but you want to build something profound and amazing, you have to find someone who's going to help hold you accountable. If you don't, you're going to lose yourself, and that idea is going to constantly stay an idea and it's never going to come to fruition. And it's usually someone that you don't have any emotional ties to and any emotional attachments to, because then you feel like you do have an obligation to fulfill. Because if it's your sister, or if it's your friend, or if it's your cousin, you're like, it doesn't matter. So having some kind of accountability partner with active like penalties or, like repercussions can really help you to kind of like keep on track with yourself and keep yourself accountable.
Place?
Yeah.
So Fatima, before you started all of this, was there a period where you felt a little bit lost and you weren't sure where to go or what to do?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I was first starting like coaching for students, it came very organically because I noticed the need and I was getting the inquiries anyway through LinkedIn and I was doing it for free, and then I was like, there's too much demand. I need to like do something with this so that I'm using my time wisely and I'm getting reimbursed for this time as well. So I think with that, and so I started building, this idea of like just having sessions with people. But what I didn't realize was how to actually make a business out of it, how to actually make it into something substantial. And I think a lot of people worry about this because they think that, if it's just something that I'm doing very much on the side or a couple of hours a week, that it doesn't have any substance to it, that it's not a proper thing. When actually, that's a complete lie because, it's up to you how much emphasis you give to something. And so because I decided to take it seriously, I decided to put my money where my mouth was and like actually invest in a coach myself. I decided to make it into a real thing. That's when other people also started seeing me as a professional service and also started seeing me seriously, in a serious light. And so with that then helped me to think, actually something can become of this and I can make this into something. I think there's also going to be points where people want to do something, but they don't know what. They're like, where do I even start? What do I even apply myself to? And I think you have to stop overthinking it. It's just the fact of what makes you excited and interested to know more about. So for example, if we can use yourself as an example, you're interested in understanding what helps people with struggles, you're interested in understanding what helps people get through difficult moments and find themselves and embark on journeys like entrepreneurship or doing something a bit different to a typical job. And just that interest led you to recording these videos. Just that. And I think that it's very difficult for a lot of people, and this is very common, to see the longevity of a hobby and an interest. But the point is that when you're starting, you don't need to look that far ahead into the future. You just need to look at what's going to give you like a platform or enough content or enough information for you to then say, hey guys, I've got a series of something, or I've got a program of something, or I've got a box that includes multiple different things, and I just want you guys to have a look at it and see what you think. And I think from that feedback, you will then get your direction. It's the feedback that will tell you what you need to hone in on and what you can let go. Because I think a lot of the times, again, we put that responsibility on us to know everything about everything. When you're serving a community, when you're serving something else bigger than you, you need to listen to that and use that as your navigator, as your compass. And that's essentially what I did, is I used social media because I was like, okay, so I've got one-to-one services, but how am I going to scale this? What am I going to do with this? I can't do one-to-one all the time because that's so much of my time every single week. So then I just started posting on social media to my community. I was like, guys, how would you like a space where you can have access to lots of different things all at once, so you can access it in your own time and you don't have to wait to work with me? And they were like, yeah, that would be amazing. And then I was like, what would you like that to look like? So just asking open-ended questions, asking your community what they think, was then able to open me up to lots of different things that I didn't even think of. And then all of a sudden, I kind of pieced together bits of what they said and what I thought, and then a membership was created. And that was it. And then after that, we kept that rolling, and we just kept putting more and more information in there. I guess there's other ways that I could have thought about sharing the information or presenting it outside of a membership. But then I also thought about myself and what's going to make it easiest for me to keep my momentum going in a way where I'm not burning out and also providing value to my community. Mm-hmm. So that's why I could then use that membership and create something else, but I've decided to keep it as it is. I don't want to take it in any other direction because right now it's working, and sometimes you don't always have to change things if they're working well. So I would say, listening to your community is a big part of understanding where you can take yourself and which direction you can go in.
Perfect.
Oh my God, that was so long.
So if you had one piece of advice for people who are feeling a little bit lost about finding their purpose, what would it be?
So I think it would be to hone in on one, what you're really good at already. So really write down almost like a SWOT analysis of your strengths, your weaknesses, the things that you enjoy doing, the things that you want to aspire to do, and just write them down. And look at which are the ones that feel most easiest to kind of move to in the near future. And if they align with your strengths, go for it. As soon as you have found that out, you might then experience other barriers in the sense where you've got, oh, well, how do I go about this? Or what do I do? Or who do I need to speak to do this? And I think, honestly, I'm not being funny when I say this, but sometimes just using YouTube to help you feel a bit more resourceful about understanding which ways to, or what to use, or what platforms to use, or what to do can just be a really useful free resource to have. There is a lot of information on YouTube that can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming and a bit difficult. So I think then identify your voice of reason. It might be a friend, it might be a parent, it might be a sister, it might be another sibling. Find someone that you trust and take that information to them. Because you as a person are going to be clouded by biases, by blind spots, by thoughts and assumptions, and you need someone to help you look at an outsider's perspective. So maybe before you go and execute an action or do something, just run it by someone that you really trust, just so then you get an outsider's perspective, and be clear about what it is that you want from them and what it is that you want to know from them, so that they're able to give you the guidance that's appropriate for you. I don't think I answered that very well.
Hey again, it's me. I hope you all enjoyed Fatima speaking, and I hope that she was able to give you a different perspective and also share her experience about the journey that she's been on. If you are interested in the work that she does, then I have attached all of her links in the bio, and also you can reach out to her on social media. She's happy to answer any questions that you have. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found some benefit from it. I cannot wait to share the next episode of How Does It Feel with you soon.